Okay, so it's good to have all of you here, and this is our very first Zoom event that's called This Is My Story. And these friends have volunteered, maybe even a slight begging to come and tell their story so that we can just learn from each other. And we want to start with a lady that actually, if she was not part of our story, probably none of us would be here together in this type of Zoom event. And so we're going to start off with hearing with a lady that, first of all, made a big impact on my life, and that is Kathy Barner.
Thank you, Rena. My story goes way back to 1969 when I was in my 20s and I was teaching school in California. And I actually thought I was healthy. Well, actually, I only had 3 or 4 colds a year and sinus infections and bladder infections. And I had a migraine headaches and I was allergic to everything. And I was on the allergy shots and I was allergic to every skincare I'd ever tried. But I was healthy because I didn't have cancer, diabetes, or heart issues. And you're going to run into people like that, I'm sure. But Joe Hawk, my hairdresser, asked me if I would try Shackley skincare. It was the best invitation anybody ever gave me because I was not allergic to it. I loved it. I sponsored right then to get the cheaper price, but I never intended to ever market the Shackley products. I actually bought a Vitalium protein that day and I took it home and I put it on the shelf and that's where it stayed. And it didn't help me a bit. You have to take it for it to work for you. It was a big surprise. And so 1970, I had my son and I was nursing him and he was on a 45-minute eating schedule. And I was exhausted. I had no help. I was frustrated. I was scared. And Joe Hawk to the rescue again. And I started on the food supplements. And in 3 days, he was on a 4-hour eating schedule. And it was like a miracle because I've never had another, I might not have mentioned, but I never had another migraine headache since then. I've never had another bladder infection. I've never had another sinus infection. It was actually amazing. I drove 2 hours round trip just to find out more about these products. I loved them. And I actually had a meeting in my home and only one couple showed up, but that couple became a coordinator and that business is active still today. And then my husband was transferred to Montgomery, Alabama. That was halfway across the world from my Shackley support group. And when when my children were 3 and 5, I became a single parent and I had to make a decision. Was I going to stay home and take care of my children and build my Shackley business or go back to teaching? And I chose Shackley, which was a great decision, but it actually made more than a college professor would have made at that time, which was awesome. Now at age 77, I can't imagine my life without Shackley. I'm on no medications and the doctors can't even find a reason to put me on a medication. So that's cool. But sometimes people have to take drugs, and if you do, there's side effects. But Shackley has side benefits, and it's a blessing every day to still make a difference in people's lives. And I keep busy planning and thinking of the future instead of sitting in front of the TV and looking at ads for old folks' aches and pains. And when I came to Montgomery, that's where I met Rena. And that was the find of the century. It's what a good friend and a wonderful person she is and a caring person, but she's also a dynamic businesswoman. Thank you, Rena, for making my life better.
Oh, that was sweet of you. And so thank you for being the one that pulled all of us, the possibility of us being together. So you mentioned Montgomery, and that's where my Shackley story began. It was about the mid 1970s. And I looked in the yellow pages and thought I was calling a health food store, but actually Kathy had a yellow page ad and I reached her and we chatted for a few minutes and it wasn't long before she said, may I come over and just explain the Shackley difference to you? And she did. She understood that. And the fact that it was a money back guarantee, I thought, well, what do I have to lose? So we changed to Shackley supplements. And you know what? My husband's health started improving, and our friends noticed that his health was improving. And probably mentioned it. And so they began to use some products too. And, Shackley doesn't advertise. And so it really worked out well that I learned that if we talk, that they will pay us if we will tell other people about the products. And so it was nothing more than a hobby. It never occurred to me to have a full-time business, but I did tell a few people, and I really enjoyed earning enough for years and years that we just pay for the products that we wanted to use, which sooner or later we pretty much changed over to almost everything. And so if you just fast forward then many years later, I found myself a single mom with a teenager to support, and I had some really close friends that said, why don't you get serious about building your business? I know you love the products. And I thought, I am not an entrepreneur. I really was pretty bashful, but I didn't want a job. I knew I didn't want to go get a job. So that inspired me to start telling some friends. And, they would slowly start using the products. And then I found that some of them wanted at least the little benefit that I had, which was earning enough to pay for their own products. So over the past, I'd say 35 years that Shackley has been my main means of support. It really has provided me just a lifestyle freedom and substantial um, residual income. And if you don't really know what that means, residual, ask some of us here because that's really important. Shackley provided new cars. And that's pretty important, money and cars, but also an opportunity every year that we could earn an all expense incentive trip to places that I know for me I would never have been able to go. And so that really did inspire me. And I was able to take some of my children on trips. Sometimes I took friends. And some of the ones that I really remember are like going to Hawaii or London or Barcelona or Athens, Greece. That's just such nice memories of being able to do that. And those offers are still available from Shackley. So now then, when we meet, and they know that I'm in my senior years, and often I'm asked, well, are you retired, Rena? And my answer to them, no, I'm not. I'm 77 and I really don't expect to retire anytime soon because I just really do enjoy this business. And more than that, or part of that, the reason is, well, now then, this is how we carry on business, our online business with a smartphone. And so I can travel anywhere I want to and carry on business like this. And that's my story. The next story we're going to be hearing from is Miss Josephine Dye. And Josephine, I'm just going to let you start with your story.
Well, I want to say hi to your son and his wife over here. It's good to see y'all. And Miss Bates down there, I've never met her either, I don't think. But
Yeah,
of course, I wrote my notes down because Rena asked me, she knows I talk a lot, asked me to keep it to 3 minutes if possible. So if you catch me reading Kathy Barner, that's what I'm doing, is I'm trying to stick to that. I'm excited to be in Shackley, and I just had my 85th birthday, and I'm still doing Shackley and enjoying that residual income that Rena was talking about. But there's so many different things about Shackley that excite me. Am I still cracking up, Rena, or am I okay?
Oh, you're fine. It's coming
Okay.
through loud and good now.
Okay. But through my life, I've always had a second job in sales. I've been an accountant for years, and I've always, and some of you ladies and gentlemen might recognize these. I've sold Tupperware, I've sold Mary Kay, I've sold Electrolux cleaners, and I've just sold a lot of things because I like people, and if I believe in a product, I don't mind sharing it. So as a single mom, my mother introduced me to Shackley for alfalfa because I thought I was getting old. My arthritis was hurting me, okay? It was 40 years ago. And that made me feel better. And I loved their hand and body lotion. That was the next product I used. So I went to my job and I took a bottle of hand and body lotion and put it on my desk, and everybody wanted to buy it. So what's new with Shackley? You know, you just got to share it. It's not going to walk the street. But they found out that I could dance better since I'd been using alfalfa. Then later on in 1982, I met my husband and I remarried. And I try to make a short story long, I guess, but I remarried and we enjoyed doing the business together, but I was tired of driving a computer. I'd been driving in one since 1956, and I wanted to drive an 18-wheeler, and that's what he did. So I ran and sold him a business. That's another thing that Shackley will allow you to do. Through their approval, you can sell your business to someone else that's in Shackley. And that Mary Kay, I couldn't do that. I'd already earned a couple of cars with Shackley, and the trips that Rena was talking about was local trips. I never earned one to go out of the country, but I didn't stay in it that long either. I sold my business, and I never quit using the product, never. So my business continued to grow to the people that I sold it to because it was just a great business. That's another difference as far as I'm concerned with Shackley. I also saved money and helped my friends save money by using the product, like Rena said, so they could earn theirs, okay? But now, we're gonna fast forward. My husband is 100% disabled, and we were talking a while ago, I moved from Alabama to Tennessee so I could be closer to my son. And that's where we are now. In I think it was, Rena, when did I meet you?
Oh, it was in 2000 something.
2009. Yeah, but I want to fast forward because 2009 is very important.
Mm-hmm.
My husband was down to 23% of a heart, and you'll have to meet him sometimes because he's the one that actually started this business here due to Rena, and he will tell you that she came over flirting with him because he was sitting in his garage, and he had to call upstairs and tell me that he had found another Shackley lady. So, but Rena at that time introduced us to the new product that we were not aware of. Like I say, I've used their household products and Vitally and all that for that many years. And the household products, girls, is a different story. I don't like to clean. So if you bathe in the household products or the shower products, you don't have to clean your tub. So it just cleans itself. So I'm kind of lazy that way. But she shared with us about the new product, which was the strip that we know about and the Vivix. And my husband's health made a U-turn. I mean, it was so obvious, it was unreal. We thought he was homebound, and we were getting prepared to that. You know how you prepare yourself mentally when you make a big change. And we kind of thought he'd be homebound. And Shackley and the grace of God, it ended up to be otherwise. And once his health began to turn around, it took maybe a month or month and a half to see a difference. It took about 2 or 3 months to see a big difference. And his friends would call him on the phone and found out that he could talk more on the phone, and they wanted to know what was going on. So when he started telling his truck driving friends, and then my family in Mississippi and Alabama, we made director in a month. Once he started telling his friends. It wasn't anything that we did. It was that the Shackley products are 100% guaranteed. If you don't like them, return them. And if you don't feel better, you get your money back. Okay? So we rebuilt a business. And we're enjoying that today. Another great thing I like about Shackley, you can pass it on to your family. So, but we decided that we didn't want to pass it on because we like the residual income. Okay? So we took our son in as partner, and now we're building as a partnership. That's another thing Shackley will let you do also. So I just get excited about Shackley, and I think my 10 minutes is up. And I talked over 3 minutes. But anyway, I get excited about Shackley and its proof, and every time I think I'm going to slow down and not do it, I wonder, well, what else would I do? You can't go out without doing Shackley. And we don't go out to do Shackley, but when we go out, we do Shackley. You can't help it. But thanks again for inviting me, Rena.
Oh, yes.
And for Kathy Varner. And It's
We love
also
your story.
over there.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
mean, you really do have quite a story. You just hit the hem of the garment with it. So our last speakers is I'm sort of happy to introduce. You know that teenager that I mentioned that was in my household when I decided to build a Shackley business? Well, he and his sweet wife are here with us, and that was Brandon and Sheree. And so they're going to each tell their part of their Shackley story.
Yeah, and I'm her favorite child too. She forgot to mention. It's hard to follow Josephine, so we're going to do our best. I'm Brandon. This is Sheree. I grew up a Shackley baby. I had no choice. My mom took it when she was pregnant with me, so I became a Shackley baby and took it from the time I was young until today. I grew up going to Kathy's house. That's my first memory of Shackley, is my mom going over there talking about the business, and I would sneak a energy bar that they had, and that was the joy of my day, is getting one of those little energy bars. So I knew what it was, but didn't really know what it meant. Going to my teenage years for sports and whatnot, I used the different sports nutrition products, and my friends got to eat, Burger King, and I was eating protein shakes. That was just the way it was. But I didn't really appreciate it back then, because you're a kid and you just do what your parents say. So fast forward into college, I get a degree in a health-related field, which was kinesiology, which is basically exercise and nutrition and all that kind of stuff. But I had quit taking Shackley in college because I was 18. I was an adult. I was going to make my own decisions and take other stuff that I knew more about. But I'd never felt the same way I felt when I was on the Shackley product. So the more I learned in college, the more I learned in college for my major, the more I realized, hey, a lot of the stuff that I'm learning backs up what the Shackley products are. So I came back around, and mom sponsored me in my college years.
Yep.
And I started kind of telling my friends about it on the side and taking the products again. And then after school, I was working in Nashville and met Sheree, and it's been a part of our life ever since. She'll tell you more about that, but we've been directors for, I don't know, over a decade, I guess, and we enjoy it simply because it allows us to be who we are and still do the business. So you can grow as fast as you want to go or as slow as you want to go. You get paid for what you do and what you don't do, and that's kind of how I think life should be. We're all on commission, really, at some point. But you can also feel good outside of the business part of it, recommending it to your friends, family, new people you meet, because it's safe. And I've taken every product on the market. I've bought everything at a GNC store before, and I can tell you most of the stuff that I bought even 3 years ago is not on their shelves today, and there's a reason for that. So I can look at any person who's a future customer and say, take this, it's going to be safe, it's trusted, and not worry about them having any kind of side effects to it. And that means a lot, because it's all about your reputation at the end of the day. So that's one reason we like it. And then also like it because there's potential that I can inherit it, which is a great business value, to be able to hand it down to your son one day. So that part is good. And I'm going to stop talking and hand it over to Sheree.
Okay.
So obviously Brandon introduced me to Shackley. The funny thing is, I remember as a kid, my parents bought Shackley for a minute. And so I remember actually having the shakes when I was a child for a bit. But then when we got married, actually when we started dating, Brandon started giving me some of the shakes and stuff. And I just felt so much better. I love to run. I could feel like I had so much more energy. My body changed. I think I leaned out. I just felt better. I don't know how else to say it, but if you are using Shackley, you know exactly what I mean. And let's see, got pregnant with first child, Cameron, and had her. And after having her, I used Shackley products through that whole pregnancy, by the way. I had all my friends, I felt like all my close friends were pregnant at the same time. And I had the healthiest pregnancy. Everybody else had to be on these additional supplements, and I did not. My Shaklee, all of my blood work was always fantastic. So I was very grateful for that. Had a very healthy baby, was supposed to go back to work, and I just didn't want to do it. I couldn't do it. And so we decided that I was going to stay at home. And while my income with Shaklee didn't replace my income there, it certainly was a huge help to Brandon and took a lot of stress off of him for me to bring in something. And so we, I'm not a salesperson. I feel like I'm pretty far from that. It makes me very uncomfortable. But we decided that we just wanted to be those people who people would ask us. I'm like, if I don't want to approach people, then how am I going to get people to approach me and be like, well, what are you doing? Like, what I want the energy that you have, or I want whatever. I want kids that don't have all these health issues. Like, what are you doing? And so our business just eventually just kind of grew organically that way. And so here we are. We've got 2 kids. They're 11 and 13. And we have grown our Shaklee business just gradually over the years. Like you said, it's kind of up to us. It's kind of been our little side hustle, I guess you could say. And now we kind of just have made it what we want it to be, which we have a fitness business. We just came out with an app a couple weeks ago, and we are able to incorporate Shaklee into that just perfectly. And it just fits everything else in our life. And we don't feel like we are ever selling Shaklee. It just seems like the obvious answer when it comes to health and nutrition, because people are always asking us about it, and why send somebody to GNC if we have something, here. So I think, I'm trying to think what I'm missing here. I know we've been able to go on, we've been on a couple of trips to Shaklee. Some of the best memories that we've ever had have been at conference. And we actually just got off of a Zoom call with some friends that we met through Shaklee and have become very close to. So I think that's one of the big positives of this is like you kind of become a little family. And that has been one of the most meaningful things for Shaklee for us too.
That's a good point. That is so true, because you do meet those friends. So isn't it nice to just hear that everybody can unmute themselves now? And shortly I will even stop the recording, but I hope that you enjoyed the stories as much as I did, because you see that we sort of meet people in our life, and they may be a part of our business or they may not. But I think we can use stories like this. And when someone has a similar experience, whether it's a pregnancy or senior years, or like my sponsor had just a world of health problems, but she was healthy, so, but she didn't know it. So anyway, this has been fun. This is our very first one. And I was telling friends, I don't know, it was a little bit, made me a little nervous of thinking all the years that we had in-home meetings, and we would have people stand up in our home and tell these type stories. And I think that it's important we can use things like this. So I'm going to stop the recording, and then those who have joined us here, I'll stop the recording now.